Hello again and thanks for joining. Today I have a Liliput steam locomotive to have a look at. It's number 7520 and here on the box it says Horst Eisenbahn. Probably said that completely wrong. That's about the only clue I've got as to which company this locomotive comes from. I suspect it's probably German or maybe Austrian, but one thing I do know for sure is that this is a fantastically detailed model and I can't wait to have a look at it today. This box is looking not too bad at all. It's got a little bit of shelf damage down the edges, but it's looking pretty good overall. So let's get this open and see what we've got inside. So we have this really great looking clear plastic sleeve that's protecting the locomotive with the Liliput logo in it. It's quite impressive. And here we have the locomotive. It's got a protective piece of plastic here which it's sitting in. It's got this sticker up here which is saying it's approved quality. I don't know who approved this, but it's up there anyway. And already you can see what an impressive model this is. So let's carefully get this out of the box and we'll take a closer look. So here is the model out of the box. It looks absolutely fantastic, but like I mentioned, it is a second-hand model and you can see that it's covered in dust as well. So I'm just going to give it a quick clean, and for that I'm just going to use a brand new makeup brush. Okay, so that's looking a lot better. So now we can have a closer look at it. I'm going to have to be really careful because there's so many fragile parts on this model and I really don't want to break it. So let's start down this end of the locomotive. We've got a nicely detailed smoke box door here with an additional part added on at the front here and up here as well. And then you can see that it has these parts here which are moulded in plastic. There's a little bit of pliability on these, but obviously they are very prone to breaking, so you need to be very careful with those. But this one's got it on both sides, so that's great. And we've got a couple of lamps here. I'm hoping these are going to be illuminated. We'll give this a go on the test track in a little while and check it out. And then we have these buffers here which are sprung as well and they're a nice gunmetal colour. The coupling is kind of stuck on here and it's also sticking out quite a lot as well from the front bogie. It's attached here with this screw, so I think if you wanted you could easily take this coupling off, but I don't think it's going to be easy to replace that with something different. And this pony truck here is made of plastic and it has these little delicate parts coming down here as well at the front. So looking down the side of this locomotive, you can see that it has a wealth of detail added onto the main moulding, but the main moulding itself is really good as well. It's got some really nice rivet detail down here on the side of the tank, and it has these pipes on the side of the boiler and some other little parts moulded in as well. But you can see it has these really lovely, delicate little handrails made in metal which have been added on, and they have the little brackets as well that are also metal. Things like this here, which is a little tank cover, has been added on as an extra part, as has this piece here, these parts here, and even up top here we've got this bell which is made of metal which has been added in. Another wire running along the top of the boiler here, and we've got these safety valves, and I think this is another whistle maybe at the top here as well, which are added on parts. This handrail goes around the edge of the cab, and the cab is where we have some printed transfers as well that detail the number of this locomotive, and I think this is either a destination board or a shed plate. I can't actually read it with the naked eye. Hopefully you can see it okay here on the video. But what you can see is all this rivet detail here, these handrails here at the cab door which have been added on as well, and these very delicate steps coming down as well, which is an added on piece. And again, a little bit of handrail here just at the back of the bunker, which has got this black cover over the top of it, and it has some really nice detail on it as well. The glazing is flush fit and you can see all the way through, no problem at all. But inside the cab, I think you've just got the motor there. There's no interior detail inside there. But you can see here, for example, that the flush fit is really good on these front windows as well. Up on the roof, we've got this black part here, which has got some really nice moulded detail in it, especially the rivet details in these hatches. And then looking across the top of the boiler, now there's a slight moulding mark on the top of the boiler and top of these domes here. And I think compared to the rest of the quality of this moulding, this is actually a bit of a disappointment that that's there. We've got some really nice wheels with this dark red colour and darkened treads on them. And here the piston moulding is very nice. It's got some really good rivet detail on it as well, and a lot of detail even underneath. The valve gear looks really cool. It's quite fine and it has this red insert. I think the only thing that I would say about this is that it probably could have been done with being dulled down a little bit. It's a bit shiny. 3 main driving wheels here with the nice plastic inserts and the dulled metal surrounds. And we've got the brake gear which is very close to the wheel treads. It looks really impressive. And that extends underneath the model where you can see that the brake gear is all linked up. The drive goes to these back wheels here, and then I guess it's just transmitted through to the others with the valve gear. You can see it's got pickup from all these wheels here. And then finally we've got another pony truck at the back, which has got this tank moulded on the same piece of plastic. And we've got the same coupling arrangement here as well, a separate piece, but this is made in metal. We have these really nice buffers. Again, they're sprung, and we've got these lamps, which I'm hoping are going to be illuminated as well. Got a bit of discoloration going on here in the plastic. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Maybe some glue or something has been spilt on that part in the past and it's just lost its colour a little bit. So that's a bit of a shame. I don't think that's indicative of this model from the factory though. On the back of the cab as well, there's some more detail and these lovely little windows as well, which again has got flush fit glazing. And down this side of the locomotive, it's very similar to the first, but we do have extra pipes and we have some other details down here at the front of the locomotive. Again, extra parts have been added in. So overall, this is a very impressive tank engine with a hell of a lot of detail on it. It's really quite impressive and it looks really characterful as well. Let's put this on the test track and see how well it performs. Okay, we have this on the test track. Let's give it some power and see what happens. So, not a bad performer overall. It did need a little push to get going and every now and again it got stuck when it started to move. But once it got going, it ran really well, very smoothly, and even the lights worked on the front and the back, which was really quite impressive, I think. So this is quite a heavy model. I'm interested to find out how much it weighs. This model weighs 421 grams. So Liliput's rendition of this BR75 tank engine, I think, has been a real joy to have a look at today. It's got such incredible detail on this model and the colour scheme as well really works very well together. The blue, the black and the red all come together to make a really interesting looking locomotive, and I like the metal extra parts that have been added on here, especially the gold handrails along the side of the boiler and also the extras on top of the boiler as well. There's also a wealth of additional parts being moulded or added onto this model, which really sets the bar very high in terms of quality and detail. So Liliput have done a fantastic job in that respect. There's only a couple of very small niggles I have with this model, one of which is that the performance seems to be a bit sluggish when it gets going. Now that might be because this has possibly been in storage for a while, it's just an older model, perhaps it needs some oil or something like that. But once it gets going, it's fine, it's no problems at all. The valve gear I think is a little bit bright. It could have been done in a kind of gunmetal colour and that would have really improved that part of the model. And on this particular model I think it has a little bit of paintwork damage just on the back, which is a real shame. It really detracts from this model. But that all said, this is probably one of the best models I've ever seen. Liliput have done a fantastic job modelling this steam locomotive, and all the extras that have been added onto this really makes this a very finessed, good quality, good looking model which could be used as a display model or happily servicing your model railway passengers. So should you consider buying this model? I think it's a specific German steam locomotive that's perhaps best suited for somebody modelling that era of German railways, but even if you aren't, this is still a fantastic addition to your layout and I would highly recommend this model. This is an older model, but if it's indicative of the standard of locomotives of this era, then I think you should really look out for these. Liliput isn't one of those premium brands that cost a lot of money, and I think you could probably pick up this one fairly cheaply and you'd be very happy with it. So let me know what you thought about my analysis of this model in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel grow. I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See ya.